Racing fans, welcome to episode 16 of the big Group 1 racing show for the racing season of 2016/17. Now this is the first episode of 2017, which means the first Group 1 of the year is being ran this Saturday. It is the Orr Stakes at Caulfield. It is set to be a beautiful race. So let's not muck around, let's get straight into it. So the first Group 1 of 2017 is the Ladbrokes CF Orr Stakes, which is ran over 1400 metres at Caulfield. It will be ran on Saturday the 11th of February, which is my birthday, so what a great birthday present this is. The race will be starting at 4 p.m. and you can watch the race on racing.com/7 and also Sky Racing 1. What a race this is. What a race to start Group 1 racing for 2017. It's a field of 12 horses. 9 of them have won at Group 1 level. It is set to be a really, really good race. Let's get into the field. I'll start with the favourite, Black Heart Bart, who is backed by the punters at around $3. So you then have Mella Guru, who is backed by the punters at $4.20. Actually beat Black Heart Bart in its last race, so we'll get to that in just a moment. Lucky Hustler backed at $7, which is generous in my opinion. Divine Prophet is at $9. Equator is at $13. A Rod is at $15 as well, as he's our Raki. Jamaica, who won the Caulfield Cup last year, is returning from its spell and is backed by the punters at $19. Palatino at $21. Miss Rose de Lago is at $23. Turn Me Loose is at $26. And then last but not least is the McKinnon Stakes winner of last year, and that is Awesome Rock, backed by the punters at $34. So that is the field. Now let's preview the field in depth. Okay, let's start off our in-depth field preview with number 1, Black Heart Bart, the favourite at this stage for the first Group 1 of 2017. A Darren Weir trained horse, of course. Brad Ruller is aboard. It's coming out of barrier 11. We know it has the win range for this race. In the Australian Stakes at Moonee Valley, it came second to Mella Guru. It got going a bit later than usual. This was over the 1200 metre distance. Maybe with that extra 200 metre distance, it might have been up there and maybe closer to Mella Guru. I know that might sound silly to some people, but that's just the way I see it. Look, this is really, in my opinion, the distance that it loves running at the most, I think. 1400 metres at Caulfield as well, where it won the Underwood last year and came second in the Caulfield Stakes over 2,000 metres. But the 1400 metre distance kind of around there, and the 1600 metre and even the 1800 metre is where it really does its best work. So, look, it's right in this Black Heart Bart. It should be in the top 3, in my opinion. Number 2 is Awesome Rock, who won the McKinnon last year over the 2,000 metre distance at Flemington during the Melbourne Cup Carnival. Went on to have a spell, and this is its first race back since that win. Of course, that was really redemption after losing the Australian Cup on protest rather to Preferment. So, look, this, you know, I can't see it being up the front because I don't think this is the distance that it's most good at. But it's very obvious that this is just preparation towards the Australian Cup, which it should again be a part of this year. But you never know. It has surprised before. It has won over 1,600 metres. It won the Fian at Moonee Valley last year over that distance. Has won over shorter distances, but these days it seems like the longer distances is what suits it the most. And like I said, this is probably just preparation for the Australian Cup, which it want to win this year. Number 3 is Lucky Hustler, a Darren Weir trained horse. Damien Lane takes the ride. It's coming out of barrier 4, and it's coming off a really kind of off performance in the Gold Coast on Magic Millions Day, where it ran over the 1400 metre distance and came 7th out of the 15 horses. Tester Shadow won that race on that day. So look, it's not in the best form coming into this. It did win before that run in the Gold Coast, but before that it came 9th, 7th and 9th, and they were in pretty high quality races. In fact, they were at Group 1 level. But the thing that kind of stands out to me about this horse, and what really puts it in as a chance, and this is why it's probably in the top 3 of the best horses, or the best odds rather, is that it has some great form at Caulfield. In its last 5, and in fact its only 5 runs at Caulfield in its whole career, it's come 2nd, 1st, 6th, 1st and 1st. So 3 of them are wins, 1 of them was a placing, and the other was 6. So I think that's a pretty good effort from Lucky Hustler, and look, you can't rule out. Number 4 is Mella Guru, who in my opinion surprised me a little bit in the Darley Classic when it won that during the Flemington Carnival. It went on to, of course, run in the Winterbottom Stakes. We know that. It came 5th out of the 12 horse field, and then just recently in its last win to start its prep, it came 1st out of the 9 horse field in the Australian Stakes. Of course, beat Blackheart Bart and a couple of others who are running in this very race. It hasn't actually won over the 1400 metre distance since 2015 though, so you've got to play that into your head a little bit. It is in very good form though coming into this race, and it's possibly the one to beat. It is 2nd in the odds, or 3rd, or somewhere around there in the odds. But it is in very good form, and it's definitely in this, and it's definitely top 3 worthy. Number 5, Turn Me Loose, of course, going to be jockeyed by Kieran McAvoy in this race. It's coming out of barrier 2. It did run in the Australia Stakes the day after Australia Day, which was on the 27th of January. Of course, we know that Blackheart Bart and Mella Guru were also a part of that race. It did last year win the Futurity at Caulfield 2nd up, so that's where it may have a little bit of hope in this race, because the form isn't quite there for me to actually give it a genuine chance to actually win this race. Number 6 is a Rod, who will be ridden by Craig Williams. It's a Chris Waller trained horse coming out of barrier 1 in this race. It did come 2nd at Flemington in the Chatham Stakes over 1400 metres last November. In fact, that was on Oaks Day, so it can win over that distance. And look, it's resuming after a spell. I think you've got to give it some genuine respect. It is up there in the odds. Number 7, Palatino, a Darren Weir trained horse with Mark Zara aboard, coming out of barrier 7. Was very, very disappointed with its form after its win in the Makybe Diva Stakes last year over the 1600 metre distance. Since then, it went to the Epsom in Sydney, came last. I didn't really expect that. The Contella had only come 11th out of the 16 horse field, 8th in the McKinnon, and then just recently in the Australia Stakes, which of course Blackheart Bard, Mella Guru, Turn Me Loose were all a part of. It came 4th out of the 9 horse field, which I guess isn't too bad. And look, you got to, I guess, look at it in a way that it got beaten by Blackheart Bart last year, and then actually went on to beat Blackheart Bart 2nd up, and that was in fact in one of the races last year. So look, you got to look at it at that point of view and say that maybe it is a little bit of a chance, but judging by its form in its last 5 races, it hasn't quite, or 4 races at least, it hasn't quite been in touch, but you can't really rule it out. Number 8 is Equator, a Gabe Waterhouse and Adrian Bolt trained horse coming out of barrier 8 and has the win range to win this. In fact, it's been in some good form. It's coming from Sydney, where in its last 2 races it's actually won over the 1400 metre distance in a field of around 7 or 8 horses in those races. So that is a really good effort, I think, and look, it was carrying big weight in those last 2 races. That's something you've really got to point out. So look, it should be one of the early leaders and maybe a really good chance to actually take it to some of the big Group 1 winners in this race. Number 9 is He's Our Rocky, is coming from barrier 9 in this race. And it came 10th in the Contella, that was its last start, but its form before that, it was first in its 4 races before that run, so including the Toorak handicap where it came first over the 1600 metre distance at Caulfield. Look, it's won over the 1400 metres at Caulfield before, and it does have a good record at Caulfield. It loves Caulfield, so look, I rate it pretty highly. It has won a Group 1 level before, and you know, it's in a bit of the Ruffy status in the or in between the odds, or I guess in the odds. It's, you know, Ruffy status, but I rate it very highly. I think it's up there, maybe in the top 5. Number 10 is the Caulfield Cup winner of last year, Jamaica, coming from barrier 10 in this race. Luke Nolan is aboard. Of course, its last race was in the Melbourne Cup over 3,200 metres. Came 15th out of the 24 horse field. Was disappointing in that race, have to admit. And of course, it's 2 races before that. First in the Caulfield Cup and second to Hartnell in that famous Turnbull Stakes race. Look, had a good trial. Wasn't far off Miss Rose de Lago. Last prep at Caulfield. Probably will use this as probably a preparation to maybe some of the bigger races. Possibly the Australian Cup is what comes to mind. It does peak at 2,000 plus, you have to admit that. So, look, it may place. I think that's what I would probably be backing it for. In fact, if I had a trifecta, I'd probably include it into that. But I can't really see it winning the race because I think it's more suited to the longer distances than the shorter. It's kind of similar to Awesome Rock, what I was saying about Awesome Rock before. Number 11, Miss Rose de Lago, a Danny O'Brien trained horse. Damien Oliver takes the ride for the Orr Stakes. It's coming out of barrier 5, and it won at Geelong in its last race. Came last in the Toorak handicap. Of course, we know that He's Our Rocky, He's Our Rocky rather won that race. It did win the Lawrence Stakes last year over 1,400 metres in August at Caulfield. So it has won over the 1,400 metre distance at Caulfield before, and well, the form shows that it does love Caulfield. So look, it has the potential to do well, and it just has to kind of build on its poor Toorak handicap performance, which of course was in October last year. But it should be fresh, ready to go, and it is down the odds a little bit, but maybe possibly a place. Then finally we have number 12, Divine Prophet, won the Caulfield Guineas last year with Dwayne Dunn aboard. He takes the ride again for this race, the Orr Stakes. It is of course a Michael Wayne and John Hawkes trained horse. It's coming out of barrier 6. It's had some good trials. It's ready to go. It looks fresh. Had some good runs last prep, it's no doubt about that, and it's definitely consideration. In fact, I think it's top 3 worthy. Okay, time now to get into my tips for the CF Orr Stakes for 2017, the first Group 1, of course, of the year. And I'll start with my first placed horse, and that is Blackheart Bart. I think it's ready to go, ready to get another win, of course. Its last win was 139 days ago. I didn't mind its run in the Australian Stakes. Of course, we know that Mella Guru did beat it, but I think the 1,400 metre distance at Caulfield is where it does its best work. So I think it's ready to go, it's ripe, it's ready to win this. It's the favourite, probably the one to beat at this stage. It had a magnificent season last year, so I think it's going to win. I think it's the one that I will back. Blackheart Bart, first for me in the Orr Stakes for 2017. Now, my second place horse, I've gone Divine Prophet. Like I said before, had some good runs last prep, including that Group 1 Caulfield Guineas win. That was a fantastic win. It goes back to the 1,400 metre distance, and I think it will really give Blackheart Bart a good run for its money and will push it and I think it will come second, Divine Prophet, that is. And then third, I've got Mella Guru. It was a fantastic run in the Australian Stakes in its last start. Of course, the Darley Classic last year was sensational. I think it's going to get beaten, though, by these two horses. But it's in very good form, and I think it will be a close race between these three. So that is my tips. Now on to the roughie of the race. And my roughie of the race is Here's Our Rocky. I really like its form. If you just kind of cross out the... well, you kind of can't really, can you? But if you just cross out the Contella Stakes, which of course wasn't its best performance, I must say. That was at Flemington, of course, during the... Flemington Carnival. It did have some very good runs before that, including the Toorak Handicap. I think 1,400 metres at Caulfield, it does love Caulfield. I think it's going to be up there, and I think it's one of the roughies to watch. I'd put a couple of bucks each way, because I'm confident that it can really give some of the other horses, especially Black... I could even give Blackheart Bart, maybe the others that I've selected, a really good run. So... look, if you want a roughie, Here's Our Rocky is my roughie of the Orr Stakes for 2017. And that is it for this episode of the big Group 1 racing show for the racing season of 2016/17. This was the episode where I previewed the CF Orr Stakes. I hope you enjoyed that. And before I sign off, what an amazing weekend we have of racing coming up this week. And I cannot sign off without mentioning the Apollo Stakes and Winks. If you want a tip from me, I think Winks will win its 14th straight. Hartnell just behind Winks, and I think Debiani will round out the trifecta there. So, well, not only the Apollo Stakes to look forward to, Chautauqua also returns at Caulfield, and there's plenty of other great races coming up this weekend. So, of course, if you want to hear more of my tips and see more of my tips for this weekend's racing, then do go over to twitter.com/Bevob5 and stay tuned to that Twitter account, because I'll be posting all my tips from all the best races this weekend. You will not want to miss that. Don't forget to like, comment and share this video, and stay tuned for another episode of the Big Group 1 Racing Show. It's back every Friday. There's lots of Group 1 racing coming up over this autumn. There's some crackers. I can't wait to preview them. So until next time, I'm Jacob. Enjoy the racing this Saturday. The CF Orr Stakes is going to be brilliant. Bye for now.